Well met, friend.
Hey guys, welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. I'd like to give you guys today a little guide, talk about, discussion, how good is Valla. I've received a lot of requests to do this kind of video after my my what hero should you buy video. Just talk about each hero and kind of see how good they are, talk about how they play, talk about how to play them. But I don't really want to do a guide. There's loads of guides out there by plenty of people who are better at these characters than I am. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a kind of a more what impact do they have on the game? How good are they individually? And I'd like to start out the first of this series, mini-series, whatever you want to call it, with Valla. So I just want to quickly go over how Valla works, how she looks, and where she's from, and just kind of that kind of stuff. So she's a ranged assassin from Diablo. This is how she looks. She's got some cool skins. Her skin tints are pretty cool. Master skin looks amazing, in my opinion. It's called the Vampire Hunter, if you kind of want to go for a slightly different theme, I suppose. Angelic, if you want a different voice. So let's quickly hop into our try mode and see how she works and just kind of go over her abilities, what she can do. And let's talk about a couple of builds. So this is how Valla appears in game. Abilities are standard. I would say there's nothing too especially special, nothing that really separates her from the rest of the pack. It's just how she works in general. So first ability is Q. It's a skill shot, fires in one direction. That's what it looks like. If it hits someone, it will do damage to them. It's kind of generous at the point of the skill shot. It will kind of lock onto them if they're near it at the end. Once it hits, it will do 81 damage. It will then seek out or try and find two other enemies, do that damage to. If the person who you hit is completely isolated on their own, there are no enemies around them, it will hit him or her again. And it will kind of do that a little bit quicker. If you fire, I'll show you what it looks like. So you see how it kind of dances about, looking for some more enemies. If there's no one about, it will just go 1, 2, 3. It will just hit them that quickly. So it's very good for using if someone's chasing or if you're just committing to a kill. W is multi-shot. Basically, it hits everything in the arc that you see there in the little area of effect. Deals moderate damage. That is going to be one of the moves in which an entire build is based around. And E is Vault. You just kind of vault backwards or vault forwards if you want. You can go whatever direction you want. You kind of pop it, throw it, and that's what happens. So I'm going to go over a couple of builds really quick. Those builds are kind of the builds that you expect to see in a game. You can't really hybrid them because they're so different. But she's by no means optimized. If you can find a build that you think is amazing, by all means give it a try. What was that multi-shot? And then after I've done with each build, I'm going to go over a quick tips and tricks on how to use and how to kind of play her to the style pre-described by said build in the most efficient fashion. So the first build I'm going to go over is commonly known as the multi-shot build. And basically, it does what it says in the tin. It's all about making your multi-shot big and kind of clearing waves and then dealing damage in the late game with your ult and just auto attacks. So the first move, the first talent you get is, of course, increases the range of multi-shot. This means that your multi-shot now hits in a much wider range. Because it increases the range, it means that the arc at the end is much bigger. 20% is deceiving. It feels a lot bigger than just 20%, and looks a lot bigger than 20% if you can see. This allows you to clear waves quicker, and allows you to poke targets that are further away, because of course you can hit them further away. So basically, it just means that your multi-shot, which will be the ability you're putting most of your emphasis on, will do more over the course of the game. The next talent we pick is Arsenal. This one, kind of controversial, and I can definitely see why. I'm just going by like the standard one here. I might not pick this one myself. Basically, it means that on the two edges of your multi-shot and down the middle, you will fire a grenade. I'm just going to fire it in this direction so you know what it looks like. So you see those grenades that come out there? When they hit, they do not continue on their travels, so to speak. They just hit. If they hit something, they do 65 damage. That's it. If they don't hit something, they don't do 65 damage. So as you see here, there's a little hit and then another little hit. He was moving there, so it wasn't that difficult, so it wasn't that easy to see. What this does is, again, adds more damage to the multi-shot. It means you're going to clear waves quicker. It means that if you try and do damage with the multi-shot, if you do damage with the multi-shot, it hits harder. It's just a general thing. I'm 99.9% sure that it doesn't hit in an area, but it's very difficult to see because every time you do hit something in an area, it's getting damaged by other spots as well. But I'm almost positive it doesn't hit in an area, so don't worry about that. The next talent we pick used to be battle momentum, which is why this tier feels a little bit awkward at the moment because there isn't really a good talent to go with. So what the talent that a lot of people pick on this one is Searing Attacks, because it serves you really, really well in the late game. What Searing Attacks does is it becomes an active ability, increases the damage of each basic attack by 50%, and means that basic attacks cost mana. So to give you an example of what that looks like, these are what normal attacks look like, these are what crits look like. Just, they hit a significant amount harder, but they will drain your mana quite quickly if you're just continuously auto-attacking. The beauty of this build, in my opinion, is that if you do everything by the book, you never run out of mana, but obviously doing things by the book is very difficult in some situations in the game, so you might end up running out of mana once or twice, and in that case Searing Attacks isn't going to be the best attack to use. Just as a note to everyone, so everyone knows, if you run out of mana while Searing Attacks is active, you will still auto-attack, it just won't be a crit, it won't have the 50% extra damage. A lot of people think that you stop auto-attacking, or because you run out of mana you can't do anything for those few seconds. That's not the case, you just won't get the crit. That really is a late game talent. It doesn't really affect you in the early game. It will just allow you to kind of team fight slightly better. Of course, it will allow you to do little things like you'll be able to kill the hero in the lane if you want to. You'll be able to clear your lane slightly quicker if you really want to use Searing Attacks on it. But it's really designed for a late game talent. As far as heroics go, I like Strafe. I think there's no point ever in choosing Rain of Vengeance. The only thing you get out of that is a stun. Everything else is just better. The Strafe is just better, it covers more area, it does more damage, the only thing you get is a stun. And a 0.5 second stun, or in this case 1 second, assuming it gets them both times, just isn't really worth it. So, but that's just my opinion. Of course, I know some people who swear by Rain of Vengeance, and I can entirely see why. I just don't particularly like it. So if you can make it work, by all means do it, but I think Strafe just scales so much better into the late game. So what I'm going to do just quickly is I'm just going to refresh thoughts so you can get a real idea of what that looks like on a full health champion. And what Strafe really is good for is it's good for just securing kills in the late game. Around about level 10, level 13, you're going to find yourself in a lot of team fights because everyone's got their ults up and kind of want to flex the power a little bit. So you'll see yourself in a situation where there's just going to be a lot of team fights, and it just kind of helps you win those, and of course it just scales amazingly into the late game. This is what Strafe looks like. The best way to use it is to stand behind the tank, wait for the tank to go in and lock the enemy down, get in a position where you're not too easy to hit but you're going to hit a lot of people, and then pop Strafe. And as you can see, it does a significant amount of damage, and this is on a tank, remember. Follow up with the Hungering Arrow, see how generous Hungering Arrow is there. And the Hungering Arrow and a multi-shot, a couple of auto attacks, and most people will die. And that was on a warrior. That was on an assassin. There is no significant level difference, so it's not that. But if that was on an assassin, they will be dying about twice as fast as that. So you can really see how it does a lot of damage. The problem, or the bad side of it, is any stun, reposition, polymorph, silence, anything will interrupt it. And because there is no cast time, you will not get a 10-second kind of refund. It's just out. It's just done. Don't be too scared of that. Try and wait for them to have used their obvious CC. Wait for Brightwing to use his polymorph, Muradin to use his throw his Q out, ETC to use his mosh pit, as silly as that sounds, or his slide and pushback combo. Just wait for that kind of stuff to go off because you don't really want to be popping your ult and then 2 seconds into it being interrupted. However, if you're not sure, pop it anyway and just stand behind people, try and get 1 or 2 people. You can still win fights in that situation. The next talent is Frost Shot. A lot of people can kind of see going for Giant Killer here. I think you really shouldn't. If you're going for the multi-shot build, you need Frost Shot. It allows you to one-on-one melee champions, and it allows you to one-on-one some range champions. Valla has quite a significant range on her. I know a lot of people are going to be saying that I haven't gone over her trait. I'm going to go over her trait in the next build. So, what Frost Shot allows you to do is it allows you to kite. And in some stages in the game, you are going to be without a tank. You are going to find yourself feeling very exposed, and Frost Shot just really allows you to kind of deal with that. If I can get Arthurs to aggro me, I'll really show you what that's like. See, moving significantly slower for a fair duration. So any melee champion, you can just kite. You can throw it on people. It means people are going to have a much harder time getting to you. It means you can throw it on their team and then pop strafe, and they're just not going to be able to get to you for the first couple of seconds. It's really very good. One important thing to remember about using strafe is you can use Volt while strafing. So if you really want to, you can Volt aggressively into their team after you've strafed, or most reasonably strafe sideways to try and get a new champion, or just strafe back if they will decide to try and charge at you, or Volt back if they decide to try and charge you. Next talent, I like Blood for Blood or Stone Skin. I kind of like Blood for Blood just because it's very good for you can be a lot more aggressive with Blood for Blood. You can kind of get in the tank's face a little bit more, kite him a little bit more aggressively, a little bit closer, and really get some damage off. And as you can see, it can kill people quite quickly. And of course it slows him, so it means you've got good kiting potential. It's just a good all-round talent. If you sync it up with other people on your team's Blood for Blood, you can take off 15%, 30, 45. Just a real big chunk of health like that. Literally like that. There's nothing they can do to avoid it. There's nothing they can do to mitigate the damage. Just instantly wrecks them. And the last talent is almost always going to be Nexus Frenzy. A lot of people have seen Vengeance and think, well, that's amazing. And it is. It's a very good talent. It will increase your strafe potential by a lot, but Nexus Frenzy just means that you're incredibly strong. What it does help with is it helps in the late game, you being able to actually be effective in team fights without really... If you miss your ult, if someone interrupts your ult or you just don't get it off from many people or people run out of the way of it or anything, you're still going to be able to do a lot of damage. And Nexus Frenzy just increases attack speed and range by 20%. So if you don't know what that looks like, this is what it looks like. Combine it with Start Step and Frost Shot, and it's just incredibly good for people to just to have on your side. The other build I'm going to go over shortly is the auto attack build, but a few tips and tricks quickly about the multi-shot build. Don't use Hungering Arrow in the early game. So in this situation, it's a 2-on-1 in the lane. What I would do is I would use W. Obviously I'm level 20, so this is slightly different. But I would just use W. I would just use multi-shot to try and clear waves and poke with auto attacks. You should be able to clear waves reasonably efficiently, so that shouldn't be too much of a worry. Don't use any other abilities. Another trick would be, and this is kind of an all-round tip for Valla, never vault aggressively. If you vault aggressively, you are completely exposed. And if you make one mistake, like you miss an ability, or they pop an ult, or you miss time to cooldown on your ult, you'll just die. You don't have the survivability to do that. So really only use vault to go backwards. Unless you are super certain and you're vaulting forwards into your tank who can peel for you. Stuff like that. But even that, I would call that a retreat. So always use vault to retreat, never use vault to advance. Again, about strafe, don't be afraid to use it if you're not sure about if they have CC, but just trying to make sure that you're in a situation where you're not going to get completely owned. In a mini wave is a great time to use it because it's very difficult for them to hit you with a targeted or skill shot first target hit stuns like Muradin's Q. Yeah, wait for them to be locked down. It's very difficult for some champions like Brightwing to avoid that kind of stuff. You just kind of got to keep an eye on it and don't pop it straight away. It's one of the things that I used to do, and I still do quite a lot when I play Valla, is I see someone and I just pop strafe. You should kind of wait for them to bait out a few abilities, wait for them to kind of be just a little bit less prepared for your strafe by using abilities and other champions, and then pop it. If you haven't popped it and everyone's running away, that's the only time I would say vault aggressively, and then I would say vault aggressively and then pop strafe, or pop strafe and then vault aggressively, depending on how you want to do it, just to get the chase, because the chase is a very important part of the team fight. It can turn 2 kills into 4 kills and whatever, so don't be afraid to use strafe and vault to chase. The next build I want to go over is the multi-shot build. Yeah, a few of you are going to be cringing, a few of you are going to be like, why would you do this? And basically the reason is because a lot of people are using it. If you have the right team composition, it's an incredibly strong build, and it's very difficult for them to really do anything about you, if that makes sense. So the multi-shot build really makes use of Valla's trait. The reason I didn't go over Valla's trait too much because I kind of want to emphasize it now. And if you look at that, basic attack is quite a stack of hatred. Once you get some hatred, you start earning attack speed and movement speed. So basically that means that when you're at 10 hatred, you'll be attacking 20% faster and moving 10% faster. Very important when you think about how useful that is in running away from people. But 10% isn't enough that you're just going to completely own people. So the first talent I like to go for is, I'm pretty sure some people take some liberties with this. So I'm reading it off of a not a guide, but kind of a previous game of mine, and again, it has been a long time since I played the multi-shot build, the auto attack build, because the multi-shot build is just so strong. So, Rancor increases your attack speed by 1.5, which means that you're now gaining 3.5 attack speed as opposed to 2, which means you're gaining 35 attack speed as opposed to 20 at 10 stacks. It means you hit crazy fast. It's just going to help you in clearing waves, it's going to help you in poking, it's going to help you in everything, really. Yeah, and it scales incredibly well into the late game, so it's kind of a late game talent to pick. The next talent I've seen a lot of people pick is kind of in between Manticore and Vampiric Assault. Because Manticore, of course, you're going to hit like a truck. But Vampiric Assault is really, in my opinion, a much more all-round talent. If you take Manticore, you have to be focusing one target, which is fine, you can do that. But if for whatever reason you can't get a continuous number of basic attacks off on the same target, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to get that off consistently. And of course you can only get it off on enemies, which sounds stupid, but if you take Vampiric Assault, which I'm going to here, you can use it on structures, you can use it on minions, you can use it on walls or whatever, and it just allows you to get a little bit of health back always, which can keep you alive. When you have a move like Vault, you're going to find yourself on incredibly low HP a lot, and if you can get a couple of auto attacks off, which mean you're at 250 HP as opposed to 200, it's going to help you survive a lot of the time. So yeah, again, that's kind of a late game talent. It's more of a sustained talent than anything else. Again, I kind of want to reiterate this as often as possible. Don't take what I'm saying as written in stone. If you think that you play better or you prefer Manticore, by all means try Manticore. This is not a guide. This is not a be all and end all kind of thing. I really like this next tier, because you can kind of do whatever you want with it. You can kind of go with Searing Attacks again if you want to get a crazy amount of auto attacks off, or you can even go with Hot Pursuit. I think basically do whatever you want. If you find yourself being tunneled and dying a lot, go for Hot Pursuit. If you find yourself not and just being able to get free reign off, go for Searing Attacks. I really like Hot Pursuit. I just think it's a fun talent, just because it means that Valla moves crazy quick all the time, and you can just keep attacking people. You can just keep kiting back with Stutter Step. Combined with Vampiric Assault means it's incredibly difficult to kill you, just because you can kite them back and you're healing an awful lot. So that's what I like to take, but of course that is very personally heavily influenced. Those two are really the two that you're going to be choosing between. The other two, subpar for this build. Again, the auto attack build doesn't really change anything for the state of your ultis, so Strafe is the name of the game here. The only difference between this Strafe and your other Strafe is that this Strafe is going to be used a lot more aggressively. It's going to be used in team fights as opposed to using multi-shot. Strafe, for a lot of the game, is going to be your majority of burst damage, and it's not very bursty at all, but that's where your burst damage is going to come from, if that makes sense. If you want to kill someone quickly, you're going to have to pop Strafe. You're not going to do it with auto attacks. Moving on to the next tier. Again, a lot of people have kind of a different opinion on this. I remember back when the auto attack build was new and it was incredibly good. Just people didn't really know how to deal with it. A lot of people went with Manticore and then tempered by Discipline, because it means that once you get max hatred stacks and then once you get max discipline stacks, your healing becomes incredibly powerful. I wouldn't recommend this with Vampiric Assault as well. You lose too much damage, and while you do have a lot of healing, you're still going to get bursted down. Healing doesn't allow you to solve that problem, so it kind of reaches the point of diminishing returns, and you just kind of not really being useful enough. So I prefer to go with either one or the other. But I really like Giant Killer. I think Giant Killer is incredibly useful on Valla, coupled with the increased attack speed you take, and a few of the other things that you build. Giant Killer just means that your auto attacks hit so hard, and by the time you get into the late game, it's really going to make a big difference. I used a Volt of Breath there. I just wanted to get that kill. I just wanted to kind of demonstrate how powerful Giant Killer is.
Well fought.
Level 6. Basically, what all these talents are going to do is they're going to allow you to hit harder and to hit as hard for longer by healing you up and being able to take people out quickly and being able to drop down burst damage and do all that kind of stuff. You're much more of an throughout the game killer. In the multi-shot build, you only become a real killer post level 10. You're still just as much of a kill potential up at level 20, but before level 10 you don't really have that much kill potential. So, at level 16, I like to go for Blood. Same reason. Allows you to secure kills, allows you to heal a little bit, allows you just to lock people down. Very, very good all-round talent. Level 20, it's going to be the same as it was last time. And it's going to be Nexus Frenzy. With all these abilities that you've taken, you just chunk people down incredibly fast from incredibly far away. With Hot Pursuit, you're going to get loads of auto attacks off. You know, she's one of the few champions who, if you take the right talents, and there's one person left, if they don't have any escape, you can just right click and kill them. I can just stand here this far away, I'm dealing 1.5% of his max HP at an incredibly fast rate, as you can see. And if I'm lucky, I'm not lucky. If I cast that earlier, I might have been able to get one more off. But of course, that's just, you know, you live and you learn. A few tips with this build are don't overextend. It sounds stupid, and of course this is an all-round tip, but a lot of people find themselves overextending with this build because you have a not short range, but your range isn't incredibly long, and people tend to get a little bit bloodlusty and they'll find themselves in position that they don't want to be in. And then of course it relates to their tanks and the healers, try and keep them alive, and they've given them an impossible task and they just can't do it. So be very, very careful. You are as squishy in this one as you are in the other one, but in the other one you can kind of attack from a little bit further away. So just be careful, really. Remember your auto attacks are your main source of damage, so make that as a priority, is standing back towards the edge of the fight and auto attacking, not charging in, casting strafe and getting all your abilities off. What I'd like to do now is go into a replay, which I have been recommended by a few friends who say that this is a very good example of a Valla fitting into a team very well. Now, I'm not going to... There's no false pretense here. This is not like a crazy epic Valla so overpowered nerf Valla game. It's a kind of a pretty standard game. It's a high quality game, but it's got Valla in it, and Valla does well, kind of thing. You can kind of really get to see how Valla works in a team game. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to go into that and just kind of run through the game looking at Valla the whole game. So here we are. We're in the game. Valla is on the blue team. This is the Valla right here. On the blue team with Valla, you will have a Uther, Kel'Thas, Tyrael, and Abathur. And of course on the red team there is an Anubarak, a Malfurion. That confused the hell out of me for a second there. I did not know who that was. An Illidan, a Zagara, and a Jaina. So this is what you're going to be seeing for a lot of the game, in all honesty. Just to let you know right now, you're going to be seeing a lot of Valla and just kind of how Valla works. What I'll be doing a lot is I'll be going to the talent screen and showing you what talents has been picked, and you'll see the differences, the kind of liberties you can take in a standard build. I'm going to warn you guys right now, this is a multi-shot build game, so if you don't want to see a multi-shot build, sorry, this is an auto-attack build game. If you want to see a multi-shot build game, look somewhere else, because my guide today, for this particular game, is going to be on an auto-attack build. Remember, there is going to be people's Abathurs in this game, and Tyrael, so expect to see people flying out of nowhere, and expect to see situations that shouldn't have gone one way go the way that you didn't expect them to go, because Abathurs and Tyraels just fly in and kind of win. So to start off with, talent she's gone with is Rancor, of course, because increased attack speed. It's just standard for this build, for the auto attack build. Essential, I would even go as far as to say, if you want to specialise in this, you need that increased attack speed. And it looks like she's going to be landing against Zagara for the start. Now, anyone against Zagara isn't too good because of this annoying little hunter killer thing. It's basically a free big lot of damage, but what you can do to mitigate it on any hero, and Vala's no exception to this, is just kind of bait it out and then run away from it. It doesn't do that much damage if you continuously run away from it, so just poke it. Poke, in this case it is Zagara, just poke Zagara down, and then just dodge the hunter killer whenever it comes through. It can't, when it can't see you, it can't attack you, but it will know where you are. So if you run into a brush or something, this is the hunter killer, little Hydra ones. So if you run into a brush, it will know you're there, but it won't attack you until it gets into the brush. So you can run back into a fort, kind of drop its aggro, so to speak. See, it can't run through, but then it started to attack him because you have vision of him, or her. So yeah, it's just kind of a little tactic you can use to avoid taking too much damage from the hunter killer. Now, as you can see, this isn't a very nice lane matchup because Zagara is really good at soloing in lane, and this build doesn't really lend itself to early wave clear. It lends itself to late game teamfights. So it's going to be a little bit nasty for the Valla at this stage of the game, as you would expect, but this is a very, very good situation, or good coping with the situation from the Valla. You're out of cannons on one, but let's just take time. Let's just poke the whole thing down, and let's just try and get as much out of this as possible. I would not expect, obviously I never expect people to die, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Zagara can catch Valla unawares and can just grab an early kill. As you see here, she's not using any abilities, only using multi-shot to get the entire wave and Zagara, so this is why she's very high on mana. Hasn't used Volt aggressively once, hasn't used Hungering Arrow once. Collecting every regen globe she can without risking anything. She is going to be have her healing fountain on cooldown, but that's kind of to be expected up against anyone who's very good at soloing. One of the things that Valla can do out in the early game, which I really like, is she can multi-shot where she knows creep tumors are, which of course are invisible if the Zagara is not on your team, and creep itself can just be very annoying. This is the first example of what I'm going to say that a lot. What auto attack Valla can do. Just zone someone out, or that's obviously the tanks doing that, and Uther and all that. But she just does a real load of damage if she can get free damage off. And of course, because of this, the Zagara and everyone, it's particularly Illidan, because Illidan is exceptionally good at killing Valla, are going to want to really dive on Valla. Now, of course, I like this here. It's a tank with an Abathur on him versus an assassin. You can get the tribute. Neither of them are going to kill each other. Let's just get the tribute and sit back. And now she's up at forts, and because of the nature of auto-attack Valla, she drops forts very quickly. The problem with Illidan versus Valla is that evasion. He can pop evasion as soon as you try and do anything particularly special, and you don't do any damage to him. So I would advise against trying to kill him if he dives on you. Just try and run towards your team. He's doing a good job so far of juking abilities. Obviously got hit by that drop pod, but that's, you can't juke them all. Juking a few abilities is obviously very useful. That little bug there gives away that Anubrak's gone up to mid lane. Juking the Banelings there, Abathur jumps on. And if she was a little bit... see, that's an example of, look, not attacking Valla directly. You're not attacking her, and so Valla will just seriously start to hurt you. Now you're attacking Valla directly, and she dies incredibly quickly. That's the nature of Valla as a champion, really. You allow her to get some time, and she kills you. Like that's literally what it is. And there are some champions that are specifically designed for dealing with champions like that, like Illidan. She's going to do what? Here you go. She's coming in from the back, behind a tank, uses Volt aggressively, which I would advise against, using Hungering Arrow to try and secure the kill. Doesn't get the kill, puts herself in a dodgy position, but she can just run out. Because of those hatred snacks, she's going to be able to make it out very clean. Again, try and turn around, trying to get a little bit of damage off, isn't going to do that well. Now she's made it back to the safety of the fountain, gets away clean. Just want to take a look at talents real quick. I'm just going to focus on that for this one. So as you can see, Rancor, we all know about, essential. Vampiric Assault is going to allow her to stay in the fight for longer. And with a team like Illidan and Jaina, it's not what I would consider to be the best. I would probably like to see Manticore against this team. However, it is still pretty strong. There's nothing against that. That talent, the picking of that one over the other one, is not going to win or lose this game. It might just mean that she leaves earlier or she leaves later, depending on which talent she's picked, and in that period before she leaves, she does a little bit more damage. So it really is a big trade-off. Again, Hot Pursuit, I really like Hot Pursuit. I just think it's a fun talent. But of course, Searing Attacks is very powerful. And of course, in this build, you don't use mana for anything, which is why Searing Attacks is considered so powerful. But because of Vampiric Assault, she can just look for things to poke, and she'll heal from it. Dodging the drop pod there, getting a little heal from Uther. And it's just kind of back to laning phase. Again, before level 10, you're going to want to stay in lane. You're not going to have that much kill potential. Stun, you've let her get on her own, and she's dead. Aggressive Volt there just to secure the kill. With an Uther on your team, you're not going to get bursted down too quickly. Now here's Danger Boy. Illidan, if given a few seconds, well timed, will just destroy a Valla. As we're about to see, obviously I don't think he'll die because Uther, but you can see the amount of damage he put on her so quickly there, and there was basically no damage she could return because all of her damage comes off of auto attacks, and he has evasion. That was an incredibly long sentence. Using multi-shot there just to clear the waves, and now she has surprisingly good push potential. Just because she auto attacks here hard, you're going to use most of the auto attacks to destroy forts. The objective is a long way away, but in my opinion that suits Valla. You don't want Valla to be on the front lines, you want Valla to be sitting back. Taking up the rear kind of thing. And now she can sit behind Tyrael, kill the Illidan, and then go to work with Inibrak. Just, you can't let her. Obviously this has got a considerable amount of help from the Kel'Thas as well, and the Abathur, and even these two. But they're letting Valla and Kalthas, but obviously in this game we're just looking at Valla, get away with too much. What I would like to see from the red team is I would like to see Illidan diving the Valla. Just auto-attacking, and then as soon as he sees Valla, dive, and just kind of hope, or if you're really very good, slide towards the Valla and then dive when a Hammer of Justice is used during your unstoppable period. Incredibly difficult to pull off, but it can be done. But anyway, that's talking about the Illidan. As far as the Valla goes, she just needs to keep doing what she's doing. That's about it. Just staying at the back, staying behind the Tyrael, staying behind the more tanky people, and just getting damage off. At level 10, we're just going to have a quick look at the talents if this fight gets avoided, which it does, and she's gone for Strafe, which is, of course, the one I would recommend. But you can make your own decisions here. Again, the objective's gone. I kind of like delaying going to the objective. I really like juking moves like that and then just punishing him for it. Getting Abatha to jump on you, forcing him to leave. Getting the kill? No, she got cocooned, but the cocoon is a strange choice of ult, but you know, whatever floats your boat. And now you've punished Nurak, now you've pushed him away a little bit, you can go and fight for the objective. And if you're very lucky, which it looks like you are because Pyroblast. Oh, Valla going for it? No, I wouldn't. I would advise against that as well. She needs to come down here and help with this team fight, though. I do not agree with just standing around, not really doing anything, which it looks like she's doing. Kind of zoning the Malfurion, I guess. I would say that Valla in a team fight is probably more valuable than Malfurion in that particular situation with his ults down. Oh, sorry about that. But and of course Valla with strafe up and everything could have done an incredibly high amount of damage. But we're not going to agree on every decision. Dive, you know Illidan has no dive. Easy kill. If you see Illidan has dives on someone else, he's going to have dive up in a few seconds. If you see he's used evasion on someone else, just focus him. He's kind of easy for you to kill, but you're easy for him to kill as well. You know, Scar again down here. Heroes have a very low on Valla excels under curse because of multi-shot. Trying to put creep down, and then yeah, I agree with this. Let's just hop around the map being annoying. Let's try and drop as many forts as possible. Maybe get this watchtower. It's just 2 forts in 1 curse is very, very good. I like 3 because obviously 3 is a great number to go with, but 2's just it pushes your lead so far. As you know, they have 3 levels on them because of this curse. And again, tank pushing forward to make sure he's got nowhere to run. I really like that as well. If you know he's going to have to retreat, advance to his retreat line. Make sure you get as much range of him as possible. And again, stay behind the Tyrael. The Tyrael's doing an amazing job here, just making sure that the Valla stays alive. Not necessarily peeling, because Valla has inbuilt peel in the Bolt and the Frost Shot and whatever. But just kind of just making sure that the Valla has not free reign, but is defended enough. And of course, Vala's just high health, high mana, just is indicative of good. The whole team is playing well. If people in a team with high health and high mana, Theo is a strange one. Tyrael just seems to run out of mana, but of course he can go back and throw his sword about all over the battlefield. Now they can push here. I don't like this. It's a little bit too aggressive. Could get punished for it. If Illidan was on point there, he might have dived on her. Strafe, here we go. Strafe in a bottleneck. So difficult to deal with. No one dodges it. Manages to juke all the stuns. And Illidan's dead, and because of the damage that Strafe has put out, everyone's going to be on fairly low health. Tranquility is going to heal them up significantly, and this is good. It's a good escape in the end by the Nurak. Obviously, with Abathon, you're kind of a very scary force. Good stun by the Tyrael. Unfortunately, Valla can't capitalise on it, but Abatha can. He's kind of going to force them out. Very nice, very nice. That was a very good team fight for the blue team. I really like that Strafe. Strafe in the bottleneck. Ah, so good. You can just sit behind them and then there's nothing they can do to avoid it, and they're just taking all the damage and they can't interrupt you. Brilliant, it's so good. And Anubarak does not want to be here, does not want to be one-on-one-ing when there's a Valla around. Oh god. And again, the Illidan does not want to be here when he's just used evasion and he's dead. Oh god. They're going for the wrong targets, it hurts. Vala's doing a fantastic job, really capitalising on when people make mistakes, which is a big thing you need to be able to do as Valla. When someone makes a mistake, get on them, punish them for it. And of course, when the team as a whole makes a mistake, straight, punish everyone for it. It's a very strange way of looking at the champion, but it can be done. Aggressive there. Strafe to get the kill. Boom. Great strafe. Forces Jaina out of position if he... Avatar! Oh, what a play. It might going to cost him his life, but 2 for 1. First death of the game. Can't really say anything bad about it. So let's just have a quick look at talents. Oh, I pressed pause by accident. So she has taken Giant Killer, of course, because there's nothing really to take because she's already taken Vampiric Assault, and Blood for Blood. Again, I will accept that because it's a great talent, and with the team she has, with the team she's up against, with an Uberak and people like that, it's going to be very, very good to kind of get a couple of kills. Let's just fast forward while Vala's dead, and let's bring it back to speed. So, yeah, I think that with, obviously, people like Abathur synergizes well with everyone, but he's synergizing exceedingly well this game with this particular Valla. These two are working very well together. And I just think kind of we're getting an example here of what Valla can really do if you don't focus her. See, like, get a little bit of protection, and look how quickly tanks will just die. Web Cocoon put herself in no man's land. She does have Volt, if I'm not mistaken. And of course the team will come in before that fades. Volt out. Strafe? No, there might have been a little bit of a strafe on there. Probably better that she didn't use it. Oh! That was a good shield from everyone there to keep that Uberak alive. Oh, and a good Hearthstone. God damn. Two good plays there that happened. Now get the boss now. You'll start to see in a second when this all kicks off. Because in this position, Vala's in an absolute kingly position, or queenly position, I suppose. There goes Jaina, it's got blown up. Now, Strafe could be devastating here. She's got by the Devouring Maw, that's not too bad, it's unprotectable. And Strafe, and people just start to melt. Oh, it's disgusting. The Volt forward could be on, there it is. Oh, it's a good kill. And that's a 5 for none. Obviously, that's not all Vala's doing, there was a lot of very good plays there from everyone. But the damage that Valla puts out, it's probably not going to be as much as Kel'Thas, just because Kel'Thas is insane. But it's very, very close to him, which is fantastic for Valla. Fortunately, this is going to cost her a lot of health because she got by the stun and then got by the root. She's not auto-attacking now because when you've just had a 5 for none, you kind of have a little bit of time just to reflect and just realise how good you are at this video game. Grab the boss, which of course is an aggressive mercenary to take, and then you can either push with it, get the next tribute, which is quite important to deny them their curse, which while you have the boss pushing is not very nice for you to just pick up a boss and then be instantly cursed. Ah, I love the BM Avatar getting the tribute. Ah, the deep tunnel into Hearthstone is so nice to see. Just in case you were wondering, Valla cannot solo the boss, but of course with these three, they might be able to take it. It's probably going to be pretty close. So let's just, while they're auto-attacking this, kind of go over what we've seen so far. What we've seen so far is just good Valla play. She's popped Strafe at the right times, which is very important. She's made sure that she's using her abilities to make sure that her mana is high. She doesn't run out of mana at any point, because if you run out of mana... Oh, the Strafe. Unfortunately, he can't slide away. Oh, just gets the kill. Just so strong to be able to put out that damage and in that close vicinity. This is the power that Valla has. This is why I don't understand why people are just like, oh, pick Jaina, pick KO. Oh no, they've picked the 2 best assassins in the game. GG, game over, blah, we're never going to win this game anymore. Vala's crazy strong. She's so good in both of her builds. People say that this build, the auto-attack build, is the worst build. They said the multi-shot build is way better, and this is the power she has with a, as kind of recognised by the community, I disagree with it, but a lot of the community will say this is subpar. This is the amount of damage she's putting over. Of course, she has a 3-level lead for most of the game, and that's going to come down to the team. But you can have 3 levels on the worst hero in the game. It's not going to mean you get many kills. So you can just walk up to an Uberak, and they have no way of dealing with her. The damage she puts out is just insane. Now they have... What was that? I don't even know what that was. That was a boss in the floor. Putting Strafe down, getting 3 people or 2 people in it. Getting one. Getting the other. Oh, get got. And they just don't have a way of dealing with her. I would argue they do have a way of dealing with her. I would say that Illidan's a very good way of dealing with her, but they're just not Illidan isn't tunneling at the right kind of points. But I think this is a really good example of the strength that in the right team Valla has. I think Valla's incredibly strong, and that more people should consider playing her. If you haven't already, buy Valla. She's crazy good. Win loads of games. Feel like you're the best player in the world. I don't know what you really do after that. Thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.